welcoming our special guest. So we have Mayor Ann Cavalier. She is the mayor of Smithers and a member of the Strategic Initiative Council. We also have Mayor Greg Ingram. Mayor Ingram is the mayor of Montgomery and also a member of the Strategic Initiative Council. And then we have Beth Fish, who is a business owner in Smithers and a member of the Strategic Initiative Council. I've had the pleasure of working with all three through the Cultivate West Virginia program in Smithers and Montgomery. It's been amazing to work with everyone and see them grow and just the community really come together to work on things. So I'm excited to have everybody with us today. So I'm going to kick us off with some questions. Remember, if you have a question, add it to the chat box and we'll get to as many as we can. So I'm going to kick this first question off to either Mayor Cavalier or Mayor Ingram, whichever wants to start. So just give us some history about the council and how you all, why did you form the council and how did you all get started?
So Mayor, may I start first or would you like?
Absolutely.
Okay. We need a little history to how we got started. Back in the 1980s, I have a picture of Montgomery taken in the evening, and there were so many cars and so many businesses there that there was no parking left. Go forward then to the end of the 1980s and the early 1990s, and the two towns were trying to figure out how to create some economic development because we were losing a lot of businesses. And so we decided that we needed a prison and we got involved in creating a prison, and we decided we needed an economic development corporation and a business here. And we did that too, but it wasn't enough because we started realizing that our economic development in coal was dwindling. And in addition to that, there was a decision that instead of Route 60, we should have the turnpike go up through a different way into Beckley. Both of those things hurt us considerably. And then West Virginia Tech decided that it would be closed. WVU made that decision that it would be closed. And so we lost 350 employees and we lost 2,500 students. And then the high school closed. So over the course of some 20 to 30 years, each of us saw our communities dwindle. And because of Mayor Ingram being the first to be elected as our mayor, he reached out to me, and I was a council member, and he said, let's see if there are ways that we can work together. So I give Mayor Ingram a great deal of thanks and appreciation to step out as mayor and say, we need to work together. And I'll let Mayor step in and talk about some of that now, but I think it was important to understand that this didn't happen overnight. This happened over a 20 to 30 period of time. So Mayor Ingram.
Well, and I can echo everything that Mayor Cavalier said. It's as things step down in the Upper Kanawha Valley, it's important to note here that most of the decisions that happened to the area happened from outside the area. The tech decision was made outside the area, removing the high schools from outside the area. But Mayor Cavalier and I had worked previously years ago. I was president of the Upper Kanawha Valley Chamber of Commerce, and she was president of the Economic Development Corporation. And we decided at that time both had the same members and paid dues to two separate entities. So we decided we were going to merge the two. So that didn't work out too well for us. So
we failed. We failed, and it was epic.
Well, but we learned from that. And so when this time came, I knew that Dr. Cavalier was a very energetic person. And so I reached out to her again and said, hey, this stuff of the communities, we've been hit hard here. I mean, we've really been hit hard. We took a gut punch when Tech left, and then we got kicked in the teeth when the high school left. And we just, I mean, so I knew two minds were better than one. So, and any of you that's had the opportunity to work with Dr. Cavalier, she's pretty sharp. And I needed that help to get this thing going, and that has proven to be true. But anyway, so we started talking about how we could work together, and out of the blue, and I can't even remember which one of us brought it up. Why don't we create a entity that both communities contribute to? And one conversation led to another, and the next thing I know, we came up with the Strategic Initiative Council. We sat down, we wrote bylaws, and then the task went to the state to get it licensed. It had never been done before, so the Secretary of State was, they had to check all their rules, and so did the other offices there. But we finally got through all that. All that said, that's how we created the Strategic Initiative Council, and it was out of need. And I think that three key things in any communities, especially small communities in West Virginia. Number one, your leadership has got to have a passion to bring it back. You have to have a passion. The second thing is you have to have cooperation. And the third thing is you cannot have this stay out of my sandbox mentality that, I'm going to do everything for my town. Those are the three things that I think you have to take into consideration if you're going to work with another community. We recently had a company that Mayor Cavalier called me and said, hey, there's a company that's in your town that's going to move to my town. And I said, great, they're not moving out of the area. So it doesn't matter which town has that business. As long as we can retain that business in our region, that's a win. So it's not a deal of Mayor Cavalier and I, if a business wants to trade sides of the river, that's wonderful, because there are different attributes to both sides of the river. Her side of the river has Route 60 and more traffic. So if you are a retail business, you probably want to be there. My side of the river is a little more secluded. You have to cross the river. And if you're into a manufacturing business, or you're into something that you don't need a lot of traffic, then maybe Montgomery's the right spot. So you have to look at wins together, and you look at losses.
If I can step on you there, Mayor, I think if we go back just a little bit, the very first idea was the sanitary department in Smithers lost their full-time technician, and Smithers couldn't afford to hire a new full-time person. And you cannot let a sanitary operation go without constant maintenance and care. And Mayor, I went to him and I said, Mayor, how about if we can buy into part of your technician? And without any concerns, he said, let's do it. So the very first thing was, we suddenly had a technician paid by both of us that our towns needed, and our city councils decided to agree to go into that sort of thing. And that worked so well that we started looking for other ways to look at this. I give Mayor Ingram a great deal of credit working through the Secretary of State's office and the Revenue Office, asking them to do something that had never been done before. We all remember 20 years ago, there were communities, large communities in the greater Charleston area that said, let's merger. And the war started, and it wasn't pretty, and it ended badly.
We learned that a long time ago.
They did. And so we decided that was not the route we were going to take. We weren't going to try to merge and fight that battle. What we were going to do was find ways that we could work together, to find ways to use our resources to improve the quality of life and service in both communities. And that led us to thinking about, how can we do this? Because, when attorneys get involved, it makes it very, very hard to figure out how to do the best of things and keep it legal. So we had to come up with a way to create an organization that allowed us to work together, that allowed us to use the resources that we had. So when we created this Strategic Initiatives Council, we made sure both mayors served a representative from each city council, and a local business person served on there. So there are 6 members. We call it the Upper Kanawha Valley Strategic Initiatives Council because other communities are welcome to join us. This is not exclusive. Now, we haven't gotten additional people to join us yet, but we're open to that because we've seen so many benefits from this. We want to include others in the Upper Kanawha Valley. And I think the mayor ought to tell us about the mix of our personalities and how that's kind of worked together.
Well, I may call Mayor Cavalier in the evening, and she'll say, you know what, I was thinking that today. We think a lot alike. Or she'll call me and I'll say, I had the same thought. And then we just roll with it. But I do want to say that both of our councils bought into this. The community bought into this. We had public meetings, and those that showed up were all over this and thought, hey, it's great. It's a different twist. It's a different way to combine our resources. And so we thought with everybody's buy-in, we'd give it a shot. And it has turned out to be absolutely one of the best things I think both of us have done. We have reached out and helped the town of Cowan with our code enforcement officer. And there you can speak to the code enforcement officer, but we jointly hired a code enforcement officer for Montgomery and Smithers. And the way we, you have to get down in the weeds and talk about all the issues. And so the town of Smithers takes care of all of the electronic devices that a code enforcement officer needs, computers, those things. City of Montgomery buys the vehicle. And then his salary is split through the Strategic Initiative Council. And it's not split evenly. It's split by population of both towns. So Montgomery pays 2/3, Smithers 1/3, but that is value to our citizens. I could not justify. I don't think Mayor Cavalier could justify doing 50-50 when her residents are going to say, but wait a minute, we don't get the representation. So we did it by population as best we could. And that keeps everybody's out of trouble as far as, tax dollars. You're spending tax dollars, you get what you pay for. And that's what we did here. So we've done a lot of thinking, and as we grow into this, it's been wonderful. But the city of Cowan they got a grant to do some code inspections, and they reached out to us, and we took it to the board of the Strategic Initiative Council. So we rented our code enforcement officer to him for a few days, and he went up there, he helped them out. So it's not just about Montgomery. We know what it is to be a small community. We know what it is to live on limited resources. And I have a way past connection with Cowan. I went to church camp there. So I was tickled to death to go up there and help them out. I drove up there, went to their council meeting, and they're just wonderful, wonderful people. So the Strategic Initiative Council is there to accept other cities here locally, Upper Kanawha Valley. But we also are ready to help anyone that wants to copy what we're doing here.
We've been able to go after and successfully secure several different kinds of grants. For instance, the West Virginia Housing Development Fund granted us a technical assistance grant, and we can use that to help other communities, and we can pay the bill that those other companies or communities come up with to do code enforcement and code enforcement training in their communities. Together, we were able to get a grant from Healthy Places for Healthy People, and that allowed Montgomery and Smithers to hire professionals to do a complete plan called the River Cities Trail Plan, which would allow both sides of the rivers to build out. The West Virginia State University has provided the funding to us for a full-time director for economic development for our two communities. But we don't just look at those two communities, we look at surrounding communities to help us. And we're the only two communities in the state of West Virginia that has their own economic development director paid for by another entity. The Brownfields, the wonderful folks at Brownfields have helped us do a lot of work in our area in the way of doing an inventory of dilapidated and abandoned buildings, which has allowed us to seek funding and tear down a lot of buildings. I mean, between Mayor and I, we have marched through a lot of buildings in our area. Cultivate West Virginia. We're in the midst of looking at programs that will be funded in order to help through community betterment projects in our communities. And I would say that there have been a lot of people, we're tickled to death how many people have gotten involved in that. One last thing is our two communities have been approved for home rule. And I honestly don't think that we would have gotten approval for home rule if it had not been for the fact that we could prove to the Home Rule Board that we knew how to work together and we knew how to manage that kind of responsibility. And that's allowed us to create ways where we can actually cut B&O taxes. And that means businesses in the area will do a better job of surviving, especially now during COVID, because we're able to cut expenses to them. And there are just so many ways. If Mayor Ingram and I could probably spend the next 2 weeks telling you all the wonderful ways, but we don't want to steal your thunder. So we'll be quiet now and you can ask some questions and I don't know.
No, that was great. All of that was great. I saw Sandy put in the chat box, passion, cooperation, collaboration. I feel like we should all have that posted on our wall somewhere. Beth, I have a question for you that you brought to my attention through an email you sent. But so you are a local business owner, you're a member of the Strategic Initiative Council. Can you offer some insight on how you feel like the council has already impacted the businesses in the area, or how it could impact the businesses?
Well, as a business owner, obviously it's important to us that we have people that want to stop into our businesses, people that are coming through that would want to stop. And also it's concerning when, people are actually leaving because of, the loss of tech and schools closing and things like that. So the fact that the two municipalities can work together and clean the place up, clean up the area, they are awarded grants to do different things like that. It was great seeing the dilapidated buildings come down along Route 60. I think all those things together really do help us businesses. It makes people want to stop, and spend their money. Hopefully that's what we want. And then just for me too, I'm an insurance agent, so I can help people with their business insurance. I can help them with life insurance, things that you know, if they're leaving and they're not being replaced with new people, that's a concern for us. So I just want to be part of the dynamic duo. I mean, these two work together great. They're optimistic, they have vision, you know, and I know great things are to come, and I want to be a part of that. And I think that when people see the enthusiasm and see the results, then they want to be a part of it too. You know, morale was really down with business owners and people, residents, just from, you know, just being hit over and over. So just seeing things happen and the people work together, and I don't know, it's just very exciting. And I want to be a part of it, and I know other people would too, other businesses.
That's great. Thank you, Beth. I remember when I first came to my first visit to Smithers and Montgomery, and my first strategic initiative council, tagline or motto was 2 municipalities, 1 community. And that's really stuck with me, that 1 community. So when I think of Smithers and Montgomery, to me, it's 1 community all working together. So that's great. So we've heard about some of the successes, and I just want to remind folks, if you have questions, make sure to add them into the chat box, and we'll try to get to a few of those. What have been some of the challenges that you all have had to face, and how have you been able to overcome some of those challenges?
Well, probably the first challenge was organizing. And then the second challenge, and we started working on this right before COVID, we so much want the entire community's input. So we were creating a community resource committee, which was going to be a committee. It would be a subcommittee from the Strategic Initiative Council, and it was going to be from members of the community that wanted to come to our meetings and be the community resource. What do you hear? What's the rumblings on the street? What do you hear out there? What do you want in Montgomery and Smithers? And then COVID shut us down. But we were marching strong. We have a list of people we were going to send out invitations to and ask them to ask other people. We had planned on inviting key players, you know, our legislators, to be members of this committee, so they could hear firsthand what the citizens want. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's our job, is to serve the citizens as best we can. And hopefully, once we get post-COVID, we can get back to work on our resource committee and get those folks together. And this is still a work in progress. And again, we're pioneers in this, so there's no rule book. But I do believe that a resource committee, and that was Dr. Cavalier's idea. I think that is excellent thought processes to bring the community in to the committee. So that's one of the challenges was, you know, the worst thing you can do is run down the field without your blockers. And if you're trying to do something and the rest of the team's not with you, you're wasting your time, you're going to get tackled. So and Mayor Cavalier came up with the idea, let's do a resource committee. And I just think that's a great idea. So post-COVID, we're going to do that. That's one of the challenges, was getting the whole community input. And we're still working on that, but COVID has put the brakes on that for right now.
One of the problems that actually Beth helped me realize this morning was we have worked so hard to get things done. We're working day and night and weekends, and I don't say that to say atta girl or atta boy. There's just so much to do to rebuild the economy and to help businesses grow, to help us create a better community on both ends of the river there. We didn't realize that we've done a really bad job of letting people know what all we are doing and what all we have accomplished. I mean, we know, but sometimes we're so busy moving forward and getting things done, we don't stop to tell other people what has been accomplished or how they can get involved. We need to do a better job of doing that.
That was actually one of my questions. How do you guys communicate what you're doing? Like, how does the community find out what you're doing? So that's,
well, actually, we thought we were doing pretty well, but Beth is a member of the Strategic Initiative Council, and Beth was asking this morning, she was going, wow, there's just so many great things. How are you getting the word out? And I realized here she is, a member of the council, and she's asking that question. So obviously we've got to do more to let people know what we're doing and what's being accomplished. And that probably will take a lot of thinking about how to do that.
And I might add to that, since a lot of folks on the call, we're having our next Strategic Initiative Council meeting. We're having a very broad paintbrush stroke of what we've been working on. And anyone, there will be a link to that. It will be virtual. And that starts from Kanawha State Forest all the way to Golly Bridge, and continues, can continue and probably will up into the plateau region of Fayette County. This is a huge plan. It's been hours and hours of work. This will be the first time that it's actually been revealed. So I would invite anyone to the next Strategic Initiative Council. And Mayor Cavalier, you're going to have to help me. That's on Thursday, next Thursday.
Next Thursday,
5:30.
5:30 is when it starts. Our meeting actually starts at 5, but we got to get minutes and that sort of thing out of the way. So it'll start about 5:30. We're very, very happy to have West Virginia Hub, Cultivate West Virginia, involved. We'll also have Downstream Strategies involved. They're going to be talking about some real opportunities for business creation. And we have a partnership going with the Fayette County Commission and with the Kanawha County Commission. Fayette County has helped us a great deal in planning. Kanawha County has also. And between the two of us, we now have an extensive plan that goes all the way from, as the mayor said, Kanawha State Forest through to Golly Bridge, West Virginia, both sides of the river. And what we've done is we've taken a look at every single opportunity on both sides of the river to create something that will build and feed the tourism that we're trying to build, the new economy that we're trying to build. And so we're excited about it, and we want everybody to be a part of it. And we're just so happy that the West Virginia Hub's going to be the first presenters that evening.
Jenny, I think a couple of questions came in from the audience.
So Deanna McKinney, who, correct me if I'm wrong, is a city council member in Charleston, is asking how can someone in Charleston be a part of this movement, or how can she create something similar in the city of Charleston? What are your advice?
Well, that's a two-part question, and I hope I can address at least half of it. I'm sure Dr. Cavalier is ready with an answer. The one thing that we are working on up here, we have moved the Midland Trail Association, which is Route 60 from Ohio to Virginia. We have moved the headquarters of the Midland Trail Association to Smithers and Montgomery. Because I wasn't at a meeting, Dr. Cavalier elected me as the executive unpaid director of that organization. And that's another thing you have to know about us. If one of us misses a meeting, we elect the other one to be president. So we are going to work with Charleston. We have to get, and I'm working with people in Washington now. The money was passed through Congress, but the money was never appropriated. So we're waiting on appropriation funds. So we're working on that. Charleston will be a big part of that. I think that Charleston has the opportunity with Dunbar, with St. Albans, with South Charleston to, and I think that's where, as Mayor Cavalier referenced earlier, that's where the first metro government was tried. But it doesn't have to be metro government. I mean, you can have cooperatives, and I'm sure you guys work together in Charleston. I want to tell you something. I'm proud to be as close to Charleston as I am. Charleston is a beautiful city. It's absolutely wonderful. I love to go down there, and you've got everything you need. But now I'm going to be 30 minutes away from Charleston and 30 minutes away from a national park. So I think that Charleston to the national park is going to be a very important link in the future. And if you tune in next week, you'll see that. And to work with us, it's just a matter of a phone call. We would absolutely love to work with Charleston. And, you know, I can't remember who I had the conversation with. Maybe it was one of the mayors, and it may have been Mayor Goodwin. I'm not sure. That if a big city would adopt a small city, not money. I mean, we can't trade money, but we can trade services. And I want to say this, one other thing, and then I'll be quiet. Charleston has helped me tremendously already. We had, you know, small communities just don't have the money to do things. And I needed help with an HR manual. Charleston provided that. I've reached out for other things that Mayor Goodwin has had their legal team to say, hey, here's how we do it. And so those are things that don't cost anything. But you're really already a part of this community, both ways. Our people work in Charleston, and the city of Charleston helps us. Mayor Cavalier, I've taken too much time.
No, you didn't. I think that's good. There is a question there that kind of asks, why do we think maybe other communities have not bought into this or joined with us? And I think trust is a huge issue. Mayor Ingram and I and our council members and the members of our Strategic Initiative Council, we've built a trust. And in that trust, if some opportunity comes our way, and for success purposes, it's better that it comes to Smithers, I can tell you that Mayor Ingram will be right there with me making that happen, trusting that this time we will create something that helps us both. And another time, if there's an opportunity for something to go into Montgomery, then I'm going to jump in and I'm going to help Mayor Ingram do that. One example, 100 years ago, I've done everything at least once. 100 years ago, I worked for the West Virginia Housing Development Fund. And so I got to know some of the good people there at the Housing Fund and those that left the Housing Fund, and they've now become independent developers. And one such person is Doug Pauley. And I called Doug and I said, Doug, you need to come and look at these empty buildings from the former tech and see if you couldn't create a housing development there for seniors. And Doug came up. Mayor Ingram hosted the day. They looked, he and Doug and his folks looked at various buildings. They decided on a building. They have bought that building. They are investing in the renovation of that building to create senior housing in our area, affordable senior housing. So, you know, I took what I knew and the people I knew, and I brought that to Montgomery because it was the best place for that project. It wasn't, we didn't have the space here in Smithers. It made more sense to take it to Montgomery. Now, Mayor Ingram is still trying to get over the fact that that housing project is called.
I was going to bring that up. There's a benefit here.
But bringing it to Montgomery made sense. We now have two of those buildings that have come under the ownership of the Mountaineer Challenge Academy. And that's a fairly recent opportunity for two buildings to be renovated and to be utilized for young people to get a good education, to create some 60, 65 jobs in our area. But if you look back, that they just completed and they're graduating their first class. But if you look back, they were called to visit in October of 2018. And I called him and I said, you need to come to Montgomery. You need to look at what Mayor Ingram has there and the need he has. So we're creating things in both communities, and it's because of trust. Mayor Ingram trusts that I'm not going to try to take things and run and hide them under my bushel. And I trust that he's not going to take things and hide under his bushel. We're going to share, and we're going to create things in the area. And I think that we're maybe still in a situation where there are communities that have not developed that kind of trust with the communities around them. And our hope is people will see how we're benefiting from trusting one another and working with one another. And they'll realize that if you step up and you trust the other communities, that you can, in fact, create some things in your own community.
Amanda, I have to mention at this point, the new housing development is going to be named Cavalier Heights. So I'm looking for Ingram Addition over on the Smithers side of the river somewhere. I don't know where, but but I did see a question pop up about what building, and it's the old Kobe building, College of Business and Economics up on the hill. It will contain 29 senior affordable living units. And the Challenge Academy took the, help me, Mayor Cavalier, not Macklin.
Well, they have what we call the tech center,
Yes.
which has the cafeteria area, the ballroom, and several rooms that can be used for classrooms. And they did take Macklin Hall, which was a residence hall. And so the young people are in the residence hall while they're here in school, and they can go to classes and they can eat at the ballroom at the tech center, what was called the tech center. The neat thing about that is for the elderly who are going to go into the senior housing and who will have kitchens, but if they don't want to cook, they will be able to buy meal tickets at the cafeteria that Mountaineer Challenge Academy is running, which is just next door to where their apartments will be.
Great. I think we had someone directly message me and asked if they could ask a question.
Hey, that was I.
Yeah.
My name's Dave Didden. I'm a family doc. Grew up in the Eastern Panhandle in Jefferson County. Just moved to Charleston to take a position with DHHR. But I'm particularly interested in, and this is a fascinating discussion. I'm so grateful to everyone for all the hard work that went into it. And I apologize for my delay in joining you and missing the overview. I was trained to apply social determinants of health and value-based care to achieve population health goals. And there are some models out there, particularly in CMS, in Medicare and Medicaid services, that sound like it could be a great fit for this project, particularly the housing. There's a study out of, it might have been Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but it showed the benefits of simple weekly home visits for Medicare members who had been discharged from the hospital. And the readmission rate for participants who got just a single nurse visit once a week, regardless of need, was very impressive and statistically significant. So after this, I just wanted to throw that out there as something that I could bring some expertise to the discussion. And if someone could post a link or some contact information, I'd be happy to follow up that way after the discussion. And thank you so much.
That's great.
If I could
sure.
offer, we do think that what you're suggesting is extremely important to the Upper Kanawha Valley. It's important everywhere, but our focus is the Upper Kanawha Valley and our two communities. And in fact, we have been working with several organizations, Active Southern West Virginia, the WVU health and education group, with the hospitals, with the clinics. I know that Beth Fish is working with folks that are looking at Medicare, Medicaid, and how to sign up for programs. The reality is we have an older population. We have a population that has several health care challenges. And unfortunately, we have young people who are facing problems too, with so many grandparents who are raising these children. The grandparents have challenges. Well, the children have challenges too, and we've looked at surveys on what's going on with these children. And frankly, I'm not a Pollyanna, but I was shocked to find that there are so many young people, I'm talking elementary school and middle school, who are involved with smoking, with alcohol, with drug use. And we cannot as a community grow and flourish. We cannot thrive until we solve some of these basic problems. So it's more than just creating a new business or a new job. You have to have a community that's addressing all of these issues. So your comment is right on, and we never say no to help. You are welcome.
Mayor Cavalier, Mayor Ingram, would you guys mind sharing your contact information in the chat box?
Oh, I'll be glad
Cool.
to.
Is
Yes.
that okay? Okay, great.
Well-
I do,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
One other thing that I was going to say was we are actively now working with Volunteers of America out of Louisville, Kentucky, to bring a organization here that helps pregnant ladies with children that might have addictions. Montgomery General Hospital and the city of Montgomery, WVU gave us the Tech President's House, and that's where they'll be housed. So, and that's another option of service and help that we're trying to give folks that just made a wrong turn somewhere. So, I mean, I applaud the comment about all the help for the elderly and for folks that have made a wrong turn somewhere. And Mayor Cavalier and I know that we've got to provide those services somewhere. And so hopefully within some time in 2021, Volunteers of America will be here in Montgomery and can offer that assistance to those folks.
Mm-hmm. You know, add to that, we both cities now have new city halls. Both of us were in pretty dilapidated buildings that did not allow us to properly serve the community. And when the city of Smithers was given an elementary school, we went from 8,000 square feet in the old building to 32,000 square feet in the new building. And I simply refused to accept the gift of that building until we knew what we could do with it, because we had to be able to pay the insurance and the all of the maintenance and utilities for a building that size. And so we worked for a year. Well, lots of partners helped me, and we now have long-term leases of tenants inside that building. One is Starting Point's Daycare and Resource Center. So we have 48 to 50 children a day in a fully licensed daycare center. And we have the Fayette Resource Center that's helping local people with clothing, with shoes, with children and adult diapers, where we have the New River Health Clinic under roof now, and that's medical care, dental care, behavioral health care, and a drive-through pharmacy. We now have the Fayette County Senior Program under that roof, where we can provide a space for our seniors to not only get a healthy meal once a day, but to have opportunities to get outside in green space, or we have a gymnasium, and if the weather is bad, they can do things within our gymnasium. We have Beth Fish Insurance. So we have private companies under that roof. We have the Midland Trail Association. We have the Strategic Initiative Council. And then we have our police department, our city hall, and our sanitary department. So what we have done with these new facilities is we've created ways to bring services to the companies. So if you want a business here and you need a daycare center for your employees' children, we've got that there. We have Montgomery General Hospital with their ER and with their senior care services. So what we've tried to do in every aspect of life here is to provide the kind of support services and opportunities that will allow the community to thrive. Now, I think sometimes that's why Mayor Ingram and I have just been so busy that we haven't told people everything, and we've got to do a better job. And so thank you, Amanda and Jenny, for helping us maybe spread the word a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do today. I saw that what you have put, it sounds like a couple people are interested in coming to the virtual meeting next week. I think Jenny and I have that information. Is it okay if we share the Zoom information with folks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
So we'll share that we'll share that through an email after the session. We only have a few minutes left, so I do want to ask if it sounds like there might be some interest from other communities or other folks that may be doing something similar in their own communities. What advice do you have for folks that are looking at the model that you guys have and maybe want to do something similar?
Tear down those silos. Understand that you are stronger together. Many of the grants that we have gotten, we would not have gotten if we weren't in partnership together.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, you can't protect your own sandbox, and you have to trust one another. I think Mayor Cavalier said that. And you just have to start with baby steps. Share the garbage service, share the police department. We share all those things. I made a list here: sanitary, police, garbage, street department, grant writer. We share all those things, and just start out with baby steps. And if my garbage truck breaks down, all I have to do is call Mayor Cavalier, and her garbage truck's in Montgomery. But those are the things that small communities are going to have to do to survive. And I think that it's just trust. It's build a relationship where you can your communities work together. I mean, our communities are so close. If you see the bridge behind me, I don't know if I can move out of the way, but that's the only
He's
thing.
actually sitting in Smithers, and he's got a picture of Montgomery behind him.
But our people, our residents, we go to the same churches, we go to the same grocery store, we talk to each other. So we're two communities. So we're two municipalities. So we are one community. I would just say those things. Start out with something small, build trust, because you have to build trust, and build trust. And
I think that's an excellent point, Mayor, is find something small where you can cooperate with another community and both of you benefit somewhat. Maybe one of you benefits more than the other, but find a way that you can build a project together and learn to trust each other, and then look for the next thing and the next thing. We didn't do this overnight. This is at least year 3, Mayor, maybe year 4. So this didn't happen overnight. We don't have some some magic wand to make it happen, but you've got to start somewhere. Start small, build success.
And, you know,
Beth, did you have it?
we went through a lot of things, as Dr. Cavalier alluded to earlier with the lawyers. Can't live without them, but, you know, we had to do a prenup. That's what they said. We had to do a prenuptial. So if the Strategic Initiative Council ever dissolves, which maybe someday after us it will, where do the funds go? So there's a lot of little things that you get into when you do this, but it's all surmountable. You can do it. It just takes a lot of passion. You have to have passion.
Beth, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I would just say, get your community and your businesses behind you. You know, get them involved too. So create some excitement. I think that everybody wants to see their community grow, and, you know, and I don't think any residents or businesses mind, you know, extending your community. So, you know, involving others, so just kind of get people behind you.
Great. I heard trust, start small, collaboration, sharing. A lot of this stuff, it makes me think of like what I'm teaching my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old right now. So it's kind of like relearning those things a little bit. Well, I want to thank everyone for participating today, especially Beth, Mayor Ingram, and Mayor Cavalier. This was really great. I know we could probably spend 2 more hours here talking about it. So everyone our guest speakers shared their contact information. So feel free to reach out if you have questions. You can also reach out to any of us at the hub, and we'll get your questions answered as well. We do have a post survey that Cynthia just put in the chat box. So if you would take a minute to fill that out for us, because we do these community conversations monthly and keep it rolling. So be on the lookout for our next community conversation. That email should be coming out. And then I just want to thank everybody again. And thank you, Mayor Ingram, Mayor Cavalier, and Beth. Thank you all.
Thanks to everyone.
Thank you to you.
Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.
You too. Bye-bye.